We're kind of entering Mexico at the moment. I don't see anyone around, so there's zero, full throttle. On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are back in my shop, and today I have something very special for you guys. Something I've been waiting to drive for a very long time because all the other YouTubers drove the new Dodge Charger EV, and they all hated it. And I knew from the beginning they were wrong. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today, like I said, we are here with the 2024 Dodge Charger EV in Diamond Black Crystal, and it is a beautiful car. I know a lot of the older Mopar fans aren't really a fan of the Charger name being adopted again as an EV, but personally, I think it's great, right? The Charger and the Challenger have turned into modern muscle cars that I think might be a lot cooler than the older ones. Let's be honest, you guys already know I think the new ones are much cooler because I just want Hellcat wine and 707 horsepower or 909 horsepower and a bunch of fun. And those Challengers and Chargers deliver it so well, I have a blast every time I drive one of them. So Dodge brought the Charger back as an EV. And you can see I just walked up to it and the headlights came on automatically and then shut back off. It has kind of like a automatic entry illumination there. So when you get close, kind of like a Tesla would unlock, all the lights turn on the Charger to say, hey, welcome home. And that is always a feature I appreciate. Now, before you run to the comments and say, why are you even reviewing this? This car is canceled. It is not. Dodge did not cancel the Charger EV. I know all the headlines say Dodge cancels a Charger EV 1 year after releasing it. That's not true. It's simply completely misleading. Not a little misleading. It's completely misleading. Dodge canceled the base model. So the RTs and the ones that are remaining on dealer lots and being shipped out, that's the end of the RTs. But the Scat packs, the stage 2s here, well, these are not canceled, and they have more power and more options, and it's probably a more fun car. So again, this is the one I wanted to drive all along too. Who doesn't want to drive the one that's turned up? So I figured it's got to be it. That's it for me if I wanted to drive one of these. Although I did appreciate the lease deals where some people were leasing them for as low as $250 a month for base models. And if I could get one of these for $250 a month, this would be mine, not one I borrowed from Eddie's Dodge. So huge shout out to Eddie's for letting me borrow one of these. It is brand new, of course, and I jumped at the opportunity when they said I could drive one. So now that we have the not so canceled Charger EV Scat Pack in the shop, let's hit the high points real quick. So it has front and rear electric motors, and they each put out 335 horsepower for a combined 670 horsepower. And all of that power adds up to a 3.3 second 0 to 60. Now, obviously, we've got cars going 1.9s now, but 3.3 is very fast. I promise you, Google whatever car you're driving, and 98% of them run 0 to 60 in 7 seconds or slower. So 3.3 is an order of magnitude faster. It's kind of unbelievable, and it absolutely hooks and goes. Now, the weird thing is Dodge gives the torque spec in Newton meters. I don't know why, but they say it's like 850 Newton meters. I converted that to foot pounds because that's a measurement we actually use in real life, and it says 110. That doesn't make any sense either for these giant electric motors, but at the same time, I know when Tesla does their torque math, they just do a bunch of nonsense and say it makes 10,000. So this could make 10,000 and it could make 110. So foot pounds, Newton meters, not the best way to measure torque out of electric motors like this. Since it's electric and we like to talk about things that you can measure in the EV world, let's talk about the range. It's roughly 214 miles, and it's probably a little bit less than that because you're probably gonna beat on this thing because it's fun to drive, right? They did make it fun to drive. Now, we'll get into the fun aspect when we get it out on the road, but like I said, about 214 miles, and that's probably hindered by the fact that it weighs a lot, 5,700 and change. So it is a very heavy car. But then again, the Challenger and Charger, we always called them boats. They were always pretty heavy, and this is no different. So really, it's just keeping with tradition. Now, let's go on a quick walk around this thing, take you on a tour of the 2024 Charger EV Scat Pack, and see why everybody else was wrong. So we're gonna start here on the driver's door like we always do. It has a nice electronic button in there and you just squeeze it and the door pops open, kind of like a C6 Corvette or any EV for a long time. They've always had nice electronic latches. Lock and unlock is right there. And it's also lighted, so it's really nice having a lighted pocket there on the side of the car. Moving on to the mirrors here, we do have defrost side mirrors with blind spot indicators. You can see the little triangle right there. They are power, and that's it, right? I don't see a turn signal in there. They're not power folding. They are manually folding mirrors, so that's kind of interesting. At the sticker price this car is at, it's pretty powered and pretty loaded there. I love the Scat Pack badge. I don't know if it needs the Stage 2 one, but it definitely needs the Scat Pack badge. That looks amazing. It is sitting on 20-inch wheels with the Charger EV logo in there, and that EV logo, it looks really cool. Gigantic Brembo brakes. These are slotted rotors that are also huge. I'm not sure how big they are, but I'd guess at least 17-inch rotors. They must weigh a ton, and those huge brakes will stop this thing in a heartbeat. The tires are Goodyear Eagle Sports, and they are 305 35 20s, so it is meaty all the way around to help put that all-wheel drive power down to the ground. We do have some little marker lights right there. Ultrasonic parking sensors coming around, wrapping around the bumper there, and the bumper is really the coolest part of the entire car because it has this giant front wing. Oh, look at that. It just woke up again because I was close, so you get the Charger light, and then you get the entire light bar, and then you get the headlights, which are very nice looking and have Dodge logos inside them too. So it's honestly a great looking front end. It's really interesting, right? We don't see a lot of stuff like this, and I think it's cool. A ton of ventilation down low. It looks like it's got active flaps that open and close to allow cooling when it needs it. It also has adaptive cruise control with radar right there, and the front camera is very sneaky right there. And the camera suite so far has been amazing. It really does give you a solid 360-degree view around the car. I don't know if the RT had the front splitter, but the front splitter is, I'd say it's a necessity. It really kind of completes the front end on this car. So if you don't have it, I hope you're putting it on your car to really pull that off. It looks incredible with the front splitter. So that's pretty much the entire exterior. We'll go ahead and walk around this. We'll take a little detour here to show you guys the MSRP. You can pick it up at Eddie's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and the MSRP is $82,125. So it is a little on the expensive side. There's no doubt about that. More than a C8 Corvette, more than, you know, all the way up to almost a wide body Hellcat. This thing has a real price tag. You gotta say that. The glass kind of wraps all the way back. The doors are pillarless and they continue into the B and C pillar glass there. It all looks really good together. So the car, I think, looks great. And honestly, I don't know anybody that doesn't think this car looks great. They kind of made a hit with the look because it looks really just like the old Challenger, but obviously it's gonna be a Charger and it's probably gonna be a four-door eventually too. More parking sensors all the way around the back, and we do have a big Daytona logo debossed into the plastic there, and then even lower here we have Fratzonic from what I can tell, and I think that's the sound system back here that makes it sound like it's running. So we can't exactly see the speakers through the grills, but I think that's where the speakers are hiding. LED tag lights that look very nice. Another glowing Charger logo. Let me go ahead and unlock it. There we go. She lights up. The racetrack kind of fades on. The racetrack still looks incredible. You know, Dodge never missed with that racetrack. And of course right here, we have the rear camera. I know it's a little bright with that racetrack lit up. The spoiler and the button to open and close the hatch. So power hatch, let's follow that up and take a look in the trunk here since we are already here. You can see the little icon for the fireman's loop right there. So I guess rip that side panel off if you need to get to the fireman's loop. Let's flip this over. And hey, look at that. That subwoofer is huge. That's a 10-inch subwoofer, guys. That is incredible that we are seeing 10s in OEM systems now. And this subwoofer absolutely gets after it. This thing can play some music and it's incredibly loud. I honestly, is that the power wire for the subwoofer amp? Yeah, I know it's feeding that fuse box, but if it's also feeding the subwoofer amp, that's incredible. I doubt it needs that much power. There is no spare tire. Here in the sub trunk, we can see there's an inflator, and still, again, you shouldn't have to do that much work to get the fireman's loop, I don't think. I hate to even pull it out, but I do want to see what the firemen have to go through in an emergency. And, oh, it says cut here and here. Cut between those two. Okay. So there's your fireman's loop and the 12-volt battery. Now we know where the 12 volt's at too. So that's kind of interesting. Inside the hatch and tucked up underneath, and it's a pretty small battery that looks like it'd be easy enough to change. When reconnecting the battery, turn on the ignition for 1 minute. This procedure is necessary to prevent battery drain. At least they put a note there if that's actually important. And also it looks like the emergency release for the charge door is right there too. So pull down on that cable to release your charge door if you're in a bind. Well, that panel snaps back on nicer than basically any other, so I'll give them some credit there. And now we'll just slide this panel back in place. It actually snaps down and then flips back, and there is a gigantic hatchback. Look at that. You could fit another row of seats in the back of this thing if you wanted, and there's so much room. There is actual headroom with how tall this hatch is, going all the way up to that glass there. Power opening struts, as you guys saw, of course. A bunch of pull down handles. You can pull down here, or no, not there, and then here, of course. And you can also flip the seats down to just have an insane amount of cargo room. So you could haul a lot. This thing's truck sized in the back. And then of course, you can set how far you want the hatch to open or just push the button to close it. So we'll stand back and watch it close. That's how long it takes. Auto pull down on the latch and she's done. I do have it plugged into my Tesla charger here, and I know people are gonna be like, oh, it's NACS. Now the adapter's built into the new Tesla charger, but I should complain about this. Everyone else did, and it's honestly super critical. They did light the outside of the charge port on the 1772, so that's cool. But this, I mean, come on. There is no way this should have made it to production. The Chinese cars that people buy, and we buy them as jokes because they're a couple $1,000s, those come with covers like that for their charge plug. And if you need CCS, you also have to flip this to the side instead of down, and it doesn't actually like to do that. So obviously if you're on a road trip, you need CCS, and I think it probably should have had NACS. And there is nowhere to store this, so you just shove it back in the hinge. At least they put a big drain hole down here to get water out if you get a bunch of water in there. It does power lock. It doesn't power open though. You do have to actually open this up. So let's see, it should start charging again any second now. There it goes. Charger clicked on, and we're headed towards 75% or something like that. Now the Charger EV has a Frunk too. I know this amount of storage in the back is wild, but it does also have a Frunk. And let's open that up and take a quick look at the storage up there. So the very first button when you come inside is Frunk. There, it just opened up. And there's also an emergency release right there. That's what's bouncing, is the emergency cable release for the Frunk. But let's go check out what just popped open. I haven't even seen this yet, so I'm a little excited. Look at that. So you've got your inverter on top of motor, a little bit of motor coolant, general coolant for everything on this, your washer fluid, a little switch so it knows if it's open. Another fireman's loop. Oh no, it says go to the back. Just kidding. The sticker says in the back, in the hatch, fireman's loop. All right. Brake reservoir right there, and of course a bunch of storage. It looks like you could put another 24-inch carry-on right here, and it is sealed. It's got a nice rubber seal, and it also has the escape button in case you end up inside this, which I highly doubt happens because it's impossible. It's not that big. You'd be honestly almost fighting to get a 24-inch carry-on in that space. That's probably the limit of it. ECU, it looks like it's hanging out right there. Kind of strange ECU placement. You'd think they would have tucked it back in a bit more. And then your jump terminal right here for your 12-volt battery on top of that fuse box. This panel comes out in a couple of seconds, and you've got your negative right here, negative post right there, and that jump terminal that slides over. So that is the Frunk, and there's nothing else to show you guys. It's got electric motors and it goes. Getting my prebiotics in, and then we're jumping in here. All right, let's go, I'm charged up. A terrible joke, guys. When you open the door, it does have projectors under the mirrors that shoot the Dodge logo onto the ground right there. It's not very bright. At night, I'm sure it's plain as day, but it could be brighter, right? Because why can't you see those projectors during the day? All right, let's take a look at the very good interior of the Dodge Charger. I know people probably told you it wasn't good, but it's very good. This door panel is a work of art, something that you don't see on anything other than maybe a Rolls-Royce Spectre. They put architectural paneling in the driver and passenger door here. That's nearly 90 degrees. That's like 87 degrees open. Here's a side view. This door is so far open, and getting in and out of it couldn't be easier. Now the problem is you can't use this in a parking spot because the door is super long and can only open to about right here, right? Normal parking spot activities. So you are gonna have to literally climb in. But if you're not parked beside anybody, well, you've got a heck of a door opening there. So lots of room to get in. Architectural panels on the door, beautiful red stitching between the what I assume is like what do we call this now? Vegan leather, which is just fake. So it's probably vegan leather if I had to guess. It kind of feels like that. These panels are super well done. There's also a carbon option that makes them look even better and more reflective. And these are lit with LEDs all the way through here. And it looks like the side of a building with uplighting at night. I'll turn off the lights and show it to you guys here in just a minute, but I gotta say, they killed that. Lots of storage right here, even more storage down here at the bottom of the door pocket, and then a weird pocket for your water bottle that sits at an angle. It doesn't really make any sense. You can't put a big bottle in there like most door pockets, and if it wasn't at an angle, you couldn't use the emergency release for the door. There's the cable release down there in case your battery's dead. Inside the door, there are giant speakers everywhere. There's giant speakers all the way around this thing. We already saw the 10-inch sub in the back. I think that's a 6x9 in the door right there with a very nice enclosure. They did a great job on the speakers. Your seat memories are down here. Honestly, a great place for them. You got set and 1 and 2 right there. The door release right there. Okay, well, the door needs to be closed for it to release. It doesn't want to do anything right now. You don't even get the sound, and then your electronic mirror controls right there, or electric mirror controls. It is a frameless door, like I mentioned before, and the windows are full auto up and down. And then strangely, they're the slowest windows you've ever seen. They start to come down very slow out of the seal, and then they go faster, but it's still like an unsettling amount of time for power windows to go down. It really doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what's wrong with the windows on the car, but it doesn't make any sense. And then your power door locks right there. Nothing even happens because it's all electronic release. So heading inside here, we have another odd thing. I know I said it's incredible, but another odd thing. This is carbon, fake carbon, with a checkerboard over it. Just pick one. We didn't need carbon checkerboards. Just do carbon or do a checkerboard and it would have been really, really nice. Probably just the fake carbon. The seats are actually incredibly supportive and they have a ton of features. Look at that. We've got the rollout knee bolster right there, up, down, forward, back, tilt, and also the 4-way D-pad here for lumbar and possibly the side support, the side bolsters as well. It has a ton of features in these very comfortable seats with Alcantara inserts that look great, red stitching again, and heated and cooled as you would expect, while still being like a racing seat. And another cool thing, if you're loading passengers in the back, which you very well might be because this thing could easily haul a family around, you pull this right here. Okay, you pull this and flip it forward. Okay. Well, oh, the car is gonna wake up first. Okay, pull this and flip it forward. And now it automatically moves forward and usually automatically unsnaps the leather for your seatbelt there, so your passengers can get in. And you can see the seat back's very cool, the seat pocket's very cool, and there is literally a ton of room in the back. A very roomy back seat. And usually I'd save the back seat for last, but let's jump in here because it's pretty wild what they did back here. But we've got cup holders right there that are good. The seat's unlatched. All right, that's better. And there's the center console put away, high back headrest for the rear seats. The rear seats get a better view of the roof. Wow. I'm not very tall, but I do want to mention that my head is touching the top of the headrest and also the headliner at the same time. Personally, I hate that because oil is what ruins headliners, and most oil comes from hair, right? So if your hair is touching the headliner, your headliner is gonna fail. So that's a little bit of a downside. But I have a ton of room back here. Even if we close the seat and it powers back, here it goes, going all the way back to the driving position. Look at that. I can stretch out. I can actually stretch out back here, and I can get out easily too. Pull the little strap and the seat goes forward. I do want to mention most people would finish making the seat work right, but the strap does not retract. There's storage cubbies for the rear and also a plastic rubberized armrest there. That would have been nice to have finished out in some kind of vinyl or something because it already feels a little sticky there. Other than that though, it's pretty nice back here. The back seats are also heated. Huge shout out to them for heating the back seats. Always a staple in electric cars. If you use the heated seats and the heated wheel, it's a lot easier, it's a lot less power draw on the car to use all the heated stuff than it is to run the actual heater. So a lot of cars used heated everything, and they give you that option in here. Nice rear climate vents and 2 USB-Cs for the rear passengers too, so everybody can charge. Very nice. The back seat also has a awesome view out of the glass roof, and you can't dim the glass roof or cover it up, so you just get the awesome view all the time. All right, let's climb out of there. Like I said though, if you went and picked a bunch of people up from the airport in this, nobody would be mad. There is that much room in the back seat. I would have no problem riding back there. And if I flip the seat back, okay, it's doing, I didn't touch the remote yet. If you flip the seat back, it readjusts the back and goes back into position. All right, it's time to make the magic happen here. Press, brake, and push button to start as you would expect. The start button is this very nice crushed hexagon down here. Woo! We're going places, baby. We've got noise. So we have 130 miles of range right now. Everything's waking up, the door panel lighting, which looks incredible. I do think, let's start this with the lights off so I can walk you guys through here and you can see what's going on. Weirdly, infotainment didn't start up. It's just a black screen. Music is off. I push the power button. Nothing has happened. We'll do the button walkthrough while we're waiting on the infotainment to show up. I assume it'll turn on in a second here. We've got the Frunk release, the headlights on, auto headlights right there, parking lights right there, and the gauge dimming right there. Power tilt telescope wheel. Shout out to Dodge for giving us the thing we all know and love. You gotta have power tilt telescope wheel, especially when it can drive itself. You want to be able to have the wheel in a place where you can just touch it with a thumb. That way you're just bumping it while the car drives. So that's that. Let's take a look at the lighting stock here. So we've got our turn signals, high beams, which should be auto. Are they auto? Automatic high beams enabled. Awesome. I love that. Good way to tell me the high beams are on. A message on the dash is a very good way to do that. And push in for mist, and these should be auto, right? Okay, cool. It looks like auto wipers, and now they're waiting for rain to hit the windshield. That's how you do those controls right. Good job, Dodge. Just leave the wipers on, and the magic happens when the rain hits. The lights are off now. It's not completely dark in here because it's obviously daylight outside. We got a lot of light coming through the windows, but the Dodge logo on the floor now looks very good. Big fan of that. And honestly, the lighting coming out of the car also looks very good. They did a really warm color temperature, and it bathes the interior in light, and it looks excellent. So let's hop inside and take a look at all this lighting with the lights off. So when you shut the door, the colors change right there. So it went like white, yellow, and now blue. It does match the drive mode. So if we change the drive mode, there's wet and snow. You can see it turned white. Oh, went back to blue. And let's go to sport. And now we've got yellow and then blue, and now track. So I think it's just kind of fading through the colors and then going back to blue every time. But in track, it stays more red. Nope, it's still blue. All right, but I do love the gauges, and we can actually change the ambient lighting in the infotainment if it turns on. Hey, look at that, it turned on. Cool. But if we go into the vehicle settings, we can change the ambient lighting so you guys can see what's going on there. So there's purple, red if you want the aggressive look inside. And usually there'd be a button that says match to drive mode, but I don't see it. It just animates with the drive mode. These door panels do look incredible at night. The entire dash looks really, really, really nice. But since we're in here, it's time to do the noise thing because I know everybody wants to hear it. So let's go where there's track, and it turns the noise maker up. And you can select how loud it is, and we'll go to drag. And now we can rev the car. And the funniest thing is you can hold it wide open with no rev limiter bounce. So anything with an engine would have a rev limiter bounce kind of hanging out at the top, but not this. I can go wide open and hold it. And believe me, the noise is coming out of the back. You can actually hear my building rattle from the subwoofer on the exhaust speaker. Oh yeah. As it comes back down through the rev range, there's like a couple of resonance spots where the building shakes. So it is very loud outside this thing. I think everybody around the car can hear if you're in track mode or drag mode, and then sport turns it down quite a bit. And let's see, can we shut it off? I'm all the way down to auto now. I still don't have it off. And then let's go to, what's app settings? Okay, that's not, EV sound off. There it is. Well, now all you hear is like fans and motors. But that's what it takes to shut off the sound if you want it off. Well, there's a lot to cover right here in front of me, so let's get into it. The steering wheel is a Squircle. I like the Squircle a lot. So flat on top, flat on the bottom with a nice looking detail in the center there. It has the 4-way D-pad that controls the gauges right there. The, you know, voice assistant button for your iPhone or Android, whatever that may be, or the car's built-in voice assistant as well. Your page display here. So you can pull this up and change the display style to the, you know, the simplified one, minimalistic right there. Or you can have this one with the map like Audi's MMI, or you can have this one with the skeuomorphic gauges like a normal car, or you can have, okay, there's just those. I thought there was gonna be one more. You tricked me, Dodge. I do have a very big complaint about this. This display is obviously high resolution, very high resolution. But for some reason, everything on it's blurry. They made the numbers blurry, but the stuff that's very small, they did in like a Retina font. So the speed limit sign there is crispy, like 4K, the ready 4K, but the P is slightly blurry, and the 0 is definitely blurry, and the car is blurry. I don't know who came up with this, but these should be the crispiest displays on the entire planet with literally no blur or distortion on anything. But for some reason, a lot of the instrument cluster stays blurry. Anyway, phone answer, phone hang up. Your drive modes, you can switch directly through the drive modes, or you can go to the drive mode page on the infotainment display right there. All your cruise buttons are right here. So we've got follow distance, we have cruise on, we also have the auto active driving assist is what they called it. Lane detection limited, active driving assist off, and then your standard cruise control commands around that. And then the power shot button, which plays noises and makes the car feel faster for 30 seconds. So if we push it, it should say power shot unavailable. If we were driving and I hit power shot, you get like an amusement park roller coaster sound. It really does feel like this car was supposed to be a family thrill ride. And maybe that's how the marketing meetings went, but that is not how car guys work, and that's not what the Hellcat's like, and that's not what Mopar's like, and that's not what Direct Connect is like. It feels like a childish amusement park ride. Like when you're on a roller coaster, like a launched coaster, if you've ever been on one of those, the roller coaster usually rolls back into its locks and gets ready to be launched, and then they play a bunch of sound effects, or they do a countdown. This plays that sound effect that a roller coaster would have. Like, it's like it turns it into such a video game, and I'm a big video game fan, right? I don't spend that much time playing them, but I love a video game. This is just too much video game almost. That's my main complaint about the power shot thing. Now the heads-up display is very, very good. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but it's right on the spoiler on my Camaro there. All right, you can see it as we zoom in. So it's a 0 mile an hour. It shows the active driving assist is on, and it shows the speed limit is 25 miles an hour right now. And it's a great, very crispy heads up, and it is full color, and they just did a good job. If we flip through the pages right here and go to heads up display, you can turn it on and off. You can set your content. It's in advanced right now. You can turn it down to just speedometer. Yeah, you can take things out of it. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with this heads-up display, so good job. And the colors on these menus are really well done. All of it's really well done. Height adjustment right there, brightness adjustment, really, really, really good. So let's get out of heads-up display. There's the audio mini gauge right there. It shows what's playing in CarPlay with the album art. Good job, Dodge. And driver assist is a screen that nobody has ever needed in their entire life. It's cool to see every once in a while, but you never go back to it, and it doesn't really make any sense. I really wish it didn't show the tire pressure all the time. Yeah, I'd much rather see kilowatt hours per mile. or well, miles per kilowatt hour on this one. I'd much rather see that than tire pressure all the time. I'm not racing it all the time. And also it's obsessed with putting the lap timer on the screen. I wish it didn't do that either. Just leave it as a normal car, because most of the time, even on track, you're not gonna use the built-in lap timer. It's more of a gimmick. Stop putting the G meter up there. It's also just a party trick that nobody actually cares about. It's cool to see it say 1G once in a while, but that's another one-time thing in every car. Then you're like, I don't care. You know, we didn't need a G meter. And if we did, it would be like a race box or some other VMU that records real data because we're actually driving, not kind of playing around. So let's change pages. The little Dodge logo transitions through. Even the map is pretty good, except it doesn't load this time, so we're giving up on the map. It was there a second ago. That's the steering wheel. And we also have our regen. You can see the regen status right down there. So that's max regen. If I downshift, and then if I upshift, it takes away regen. So there's 1 bar of regen, 2 bars, 3 bars. And behind it, we also have our track controls for the media and our volume controls over here. So there's a lot on the back of the steering wheel as well. Volume up, volume down, and source and everything is hiding back there. I know, that was a lot of stuff, but that was just the steering wheel. I do want to mention the AC controls. I don't like them one bit. They could have been touch buttons, but they're not. And they could have had like force feedback, but they're not. They're a very weird, oh wait, it is. It is a touchscreen with a bad force feedback. Oh, now it doesn't work. The target's up. It's just slow. It's slow and it doesn't feel good. It's not good. And I should also mention one other thing about the AC on this. The entire drive from the dealership to here, the AC would only blow like slightly luke cold air. Luke cold is the right word for it. It was probably like 85-degree air, and it was less than 80 degrees outside when I picked it up. So it was the most beautiful day, but I had the windows up and I wanted to use the AC, and I had no AC. I had the cooled seats on, AC on max AC, and it wouldn't even blow cold. Right now here in the shop's air conditioned too. It could be helping. It's less than 70 in here, probably 69. The AC is freezing cold right now. Heading down from the climate control buttons, we've got the hard button for the hazards, and it honestly works great. It's a little weird that it doesn't flash. So obviously it does flash up here on the dash, but usually you would flash the triangle light as well, just so you know that they're on. But you know, no big deal. You'll figure it out if you accidentally turn them on. And then down here you've got your parking sensor cancel, you have your lane assist or your lane departure cancel, your traction off, and I assume hold it forever to actually shut it off, and then launch mode as well. Race option unavailable, tachometer less than 500 miles. So that button is currently disabled. And then 2 USB-C ports and the phone heater. And they did a pretty good job. They put vents in the wireless charging here. It's also a key card. It's got an NFC key card reader too. It keeps your phone from boiling when it's on this charging mat. So it charges pretty quick too, I'll give it some credit. Pistol shifter, very cool. So there's drive, neutral. You can hear some sound, the pedestrian assist sound turns on if the EV sounds are turned off. So that's cool. The start stop button and the e-brake. You can really hear that e-brake, but it works great. And the cup holder, I do want to mention, it holds a giant Yeti water bottle, no problem at all. And I think this is the phone holder if you're not using the wireless charger. Here in the center, there you go. You can put your phone right there, or you can put your phone right there. And it starts charging, usually instantly. Okay, there's a little blue light that tells you if your phone's charging. We'll try it again. The car's on. Does it need to be in drive? It's been working all day. The phone charger does work. It's worked the other 3 times, I promise you. So here in the center console, we've got like a pin holder right there, or it could possibly hold a device, not really sure. But I think you can sneak some cables through there too. And there is a 12-volt auxiliary outlet right there for your radar detector or whatever you're plugging in. It's a pretty roomy center console, I like it, and there's a USB-A port down here as well. You plug a flash drive into the DXR port, and it records all the cameras and telemetry, so you can play back your race data, which is very nice. So here's the home screen on the Dodge Charger, and you can tell that I have a Dodge Charger currently because out of spec and auto auction rebuilds, we've been talking all day long, as you guys know. I love those guys, talk to them all the time. And of course I took it over to show Tyler as well, and you know, we had a quick look around, but let's take a look at everything else here on the screen. Here's the media, which should, okay, there it shows what's playing out of CarPlay. Here is the comfort pages as well. And it's on, I try to keep it on auto all the time, but in here I keep having to adjust it because like I said, sometimes the AC doesn't turn on. And then we've got CarPlay right there, and it's very snappy. Shout out to Dodge. The CarPlay implementation is nails. Perfect. And also it's not charging, you can see that right there. Vehicle, this is kind of too much. So we have the cameras here that did not need a favorites page, but they put a favorites page in there, don't know why, but then you have to go to vehicle and then you can see all the cameras. And the cameras are excellent, very, very crispy, and you can take a look at whatever you want. You can look out the side of a door, or whatever you want to see. You can quickly get to the cameras once you're on the vehicle page. Autonomy is another page that I don't think should exist, but it lets you look at the sensors. So it's like, hey, the radar is not broken currently. So that's what that does. You can rotate around the car and click on different sensors to see their status. Ultrasonic parking sensors, the blind spot radar inside the fender. That's what you get to look at. Over here on the electric vehicle page, we can turn on and off creep, which I wish it had creep plus auto hold, but it unfortunately does not. You can see the power flow. Currently the battery is being discharged. And it also says we're not using any power at all. It says 0 kilowatts, but the AC's on. That bothers me because we must be using a ton of power to run the AC, no matter what. Driving history, it shows that some power was used in the last 4 weeks. Here on the dashboard, we can open the old school performance pages like all the SRT vehicles got. Very cool. There's also race options. Let's start there because it's different. We have race prep, drag race, and track, and you can see the battery level, which it looks like it might need to be more charged. Once active, all climate features, scheduled charging, and cabin conditioning are inhibited to accelerate prepping and put it on a DC charger or a level 2 charger. Oh, but now it says we're good. Now we are race prepped. I guess it was just raising the battery temp up for our maximum discharge. And then launch controls right there. I don't think it'll even work. Yeah, race options unavailable. And we can activate drift and donut mode right there and set drift min, drift max, and donut mode. So very cool. It probably helps you kind of keep your steer angle correct by modulating the power to make sure the rear stays where you want. So that's kind of cool. All right, so let's turn that back off, cancel. Let's fire up the old school performance pages here, and you can see the drag racing numbers. I haven't done a launch because it doesn't even try to launch, but it looks like the best was an incomplete that was 13.0 in the quarter and 61 mile an hour. So I basically think it just hasn't been launched properly. You can see acceleration and braking distances. That's pretty cool. And you can save them out, which is also very nice, to a flash drive. Very cool. And then here in gauges, this is where it shines. This is like a GTR. I love this display. You can see the high voltage battery level, the battery voltage on the 12 volt, which is DC-DC down to 14.1. You can see potential power, and you can see the battery temp and the motor temps. Very, very nice. Well done, Dodge. This is the nicest page on here, and if you could move this stuff onto the cluster, that would be incredible. These gauges belong in the cluster. That's what should be configurable, and it would be a game changer if they would have done that. But anyway, front motor torque, rear motor power, so horsepower and torque from both of them in pound-feet of torque. So even though they quote the car in Newton meters, the gauges show it in foot-pounds of torque. Shout out to them. And then wheel slip right there, also very cool. G-force meter where it belongs. The G-force meter doesn't go here, it goes here, and that's also really well done. I don't know why, but this is perfection. Absolute perfection. And then this is pointless. It doesn't really make any sense at all. You could take the propulsion page away. Drive modes, you guys have seen those already. We'll push the button and you can see drag setup. You can set up each one of these individually too, which is very cool. And you can turn on additional eco settings in auto, and you've got wet snow and the custom mode you can build to be whatever you want. So we'll put it in sport and we'll turn the sounds back on before we take off because you got to experience everything. Can I please go back? All right, we're good. And then DXR, there's our performance data recorder, and that's by Cosworth, which is pretty cool. Controls, you can see the mirror dimming right there for the rear view mirror, and the cameras, again, even though they have their own page, and the ambient color personalization for the beautiful architectural lighting inside. And then all the settings are right there, and there's honestly way too many to even get into this. We're not gonna mess with that at all. Except for these themes. What are the themes? It looks like the themes just changed the background, so we're gonna change that back and leave it alone. I think there's an update that makes this a lot better. Randy was telling me if they do the software update, it will change basically the way the entire car's software works, and it's probably way, way better. Traffic sign assist, always cool. Active lane management, cool. I mean, this thing's got great features. These buttons shut off with the display. Come on, Dodge. What was that? Everyone knows not to do that. If you shut the screen off, you can no longer see the most important controls, the heated and cooled seats and the heated steering wheel. They go away. And what if your steering wheel's on? And okay, so let's turn it on to answer that question. You have to be kidding me with that. Now you don't know that the steering wheel's on? That's like peak user interface fail right there. Uh-oh, it might not turn back on too. So be sure you know the status of whatever it is you're using. Okay, so that's basically everything on the screen. It has built-in TomTom nav, EV sound on. So now it's time to take it out and drive the Dodge Charger EV and have some fun, right? This car is about fun. They wanted it to feel like a thrill ride. That's my assumption based on how it acts. But first I want to hear it shut down. So right now, let's see, we're on Sport, turn it up, track. You can hear the building starting to shake a little bit, and now let's turn the car off. I kind of love that. That is pretty funny. And then we'll turn it back on. Yeah. All right, let's go drive in the 2024 Charger EV. And this is fun, I gotta tell you guys. Now, you guys know, I think the most fun car I have maybe ever driven is probably that Hyundai Ioniq 5N. That thing was an absolute blast. But this thing kind of runs the same bag of party tricks that does. It's missing quite a few, like you can't make jet engine sounds, which would be very cool. You know, think about it, Dodge. You could add a jet engine menu setting. But it uses a lot of sound to make magic happen. And honestly, it kind of feels like there's an engine running. Like, listen to this. It's got a little bit of a futuristic kind of whine, like a gearbox whine added in with the engine sounds. And that sounds pretty cool. There is another sound I do want you guys to note. It's probably just a problem with this one specifically. You might think that's rocks flying off of the tire and hitting the wheel well, and it's like a metal one with the carpet missing, but I did check. The carpet is not missing in that corner. Something like the plastics are rubbing together or something like that, causing this thing that sounds like rocks hitting a wheel well, because it's not rocks hitting a wheel well, I can tell you that much. Wait, we are in track mode because track mode is one of the louder settings for the exhaust noises, and the exhaust noises are pretty enjoyable. We could also be in drag and also have the ultra loud sounds. You can see it's changing right there. Let's change back to sport so you can hear it quiet. And then in auto, there's basically no sound at all. So it's, you got quite a few options for making noise or, you know, rolling around in Grand Touring mode where you don't want to hear engine noises or feel it in the seat. Speaking of, you do actually feel the subwoofers in the Fratzonic. You can feel it in the seat, which is kind of cool. It does kind of feel like an engine is running. But then you shut it off and you're like, it's kind of a nice car, right? And it honestly calls back to my favorite car in the world. There is no question that is the 991 992 Porsche 911 Turbo S. That, hands down, nothing actually beats that as a car. It does everything perfectly. When it's in Sport Plus, you're a teenager doing insane hoon things, and when all the sports settings are turned off, it's absolutely quiet inside, and it's the greatest Grand Touring car you've ever been been at. But whenever you want, you've still got 700 horsepower on tap, ready to rock and roll on those rallies, or if somebody pulls up beside you and they think they're fast. So 911 Turbo S obviously is the car, and this one kind of calls back to that because you can have it nice and quiet and it still handles well. Speaking of, it does handle well. It's no 911 Turbo S, there's no all-wheel steer, but you do have the all-wheel drive, and it does a very, very good job making sure the wheels stay where you wanted them to go. So I have to give it a ton of credit. It does a great job clawing its way through corners, and you can't tell at all. It just does it all effortlessly. So driving wise, if you're pushing this thing through some corners, I think it's got some real chops, and I would love to do a track day with this and see just how good it is. And let's jump back. Let's put it back in track right here. And we're gonna go ahead and slow down. We're kind of entering Mexico at the moment. I don't see anyone around, so there's 0, full throttle. All right, so there's a 0 to 60. We'll time that. It felt like about a 4.5, 5. We'll have to time that out in the video, but that was without the power shot turned on. So that's basically just a normal old 0 to 60. And if we turned on the power shot, we would have even more power for our launch. You guys hear that noise too, right? The AC does work. It's when it chooses to. And that seems like a lot of the options in this car. It's kind of a when it chooses to. Speaking of DXR, I wanted to get the telemetry and record all the dash cams for you guys and show you what a 0 to 60 looks like in this car. So I went and grabbed a flash drive that previously had the Windows 10 installer on it, right? So it's still in FAT32. It was ready to go. I deleted all the files, pulled it out of the laptop, and then threw it in here. And I was met with external storage is corrupt or damaged, and it's definitely not damaged. It was working 10 seconds ago, and there is no format utility built in. So it says, you know, reinsert or format the device, but there is no option to format your flash drive in here. No matter what it is, you cannot do it in the car. You'll have to like bring a laptop with you and format it to I don't know what. It should at least say what file system they want it formatted as. Also guys, don't worry, the car is driving itself if I'm shooting like that. So it's super, super nice that you just touch cruise and it just starts driving. So I love that. It nags you to put your hands back on the wheel. It turns caution yellow in about 2 seconds. It's only 1 or 2 seconds though before it tells, there it goes. So it's green and then like immediately it's orange. But after the icon turns orange to tell you that you need to touch the wheel, like 1 second later, it waits like almost 30 seconds before it gets upset about it. So that's kind of weird. What I found is like extend the steering wheel all the way out and just keep your thumb on it, and that's enough pressure to keep it from giving you the keep your hands on wheel warning. At least it's not eye tracking. I mean, I like eye tracking personally. I'd prefer eye tracking to touching the wheel, but at the same time, you know, eye tracking can also give you a lot of false positives or say that you're not looking at it when you are. Charging, let's go. Obviously level 2 charging, it doesn't really matter how long it takes. You do it at home and you wake up to a full gas tank every day as you would expect, and it's how you use EVs, and I absolutely love them for it. But we are here at Electrify America. Ours has big boy chargers that can do 350 kilowatts, and I was talking to Kyle from Out of Spec, and he was like, I think it will charge over 200 kilowatts for a while, and he hasn't done a charging test yet. So we are gonna do just a couple seconds of a charging test because it's not at 0, and I wish it was. I wish the car was dead. I'd love to see how fast it will charge when it's deep. But we are not deep charging today. Initiating charging. Here we go. Please plug in prior to presenting. So I think it's ready for me here. Let's grab the big boy charger, stretch it out. Have I mentioned how much I hate CCS? It's terrible. 64 cents a kilowatt hour, way too much. At home it would be, you know, a sixth of that. 65 kilowatts, come on. Let's see some big numbers. Already faster than my Tesla charged. I mean, the Tesla was a joke. 97. It might be a better experience, but it hurts inside. So slow. 125. 132. She's screaming. Come on, guys. Let's see 200 at half. If this thing dumps 200 in at 56% state of charge, it's outrageous. Woo! 195. And we are not even charging. All right, it's already pulling back. 182. We are pulling back. Well, there you have it. I wish the battery would have been dead, but we've already added 3% in 30 seconds here, and it was absolutely screaming, pulling down almost 200 kilowatts. And Kyle thinks it'll do 224, which is nuts. That's some of the fastest charging in the game, up there with the Porsche Taycan. So somehow the charging is perfect. Perfect. You know, maybe the screen won't turn on, but it does charge fast. So your road trip, you get back on the road faster. I think I'd be pretty upset on a road trip with no music though. 59%, 60%, this thing screams. I've driven the car about a quarter mile so far. Got in, hit start, took off, and it's still booting up. Literally, like it does work though. It shows me that I'm in gear and you have like basic telemetry. But a second ago, I jumped in and it showed me the Alpine logo and everything was good. And now I have to hit accept. What's going on? Oh, now it's starting up. Hey, the phone charger started working again. I charged the car and the phone charger works. So we're back on track. So we're in drive. I do want to show you guys the windows. I know I didn't before. So they're very quiet. But it has 100 miles on it. It sounds like they're broken. Let's throw it into this corner here. You guys can see. No throttle input at all, but just effortless. It honestly makes all these turns effortless. We'll turn in, absolutely glued to the road. I mean, we're not pushing it, but it is glued to the road. Crazy. I would love to have an autocross course where I could try this out, because look at that. I'm adding a turn in mid-corner and it doesn't even move. Wow, it's good. I turned the noise back on. It's so much fun. I'm sorry if you have a subwoofer and you're listening to this, because I'm sure you can feel it in your subwoofer. I can feel it in the car. It's just so much fun to play with. And also, after even that tiny little bit of driving, it really makes me want to do a track day with it. It's gotta be brilliant. So here we are at 25. We're gonna hit the power shot button. And now, can you guys believe? You can actually one pedal drive this thing really well. Like I said, it handles, it really hides its weight, right? Handles very well. The brakes are incredible. I've never really even gotten into the service brakes, a little touch of them, but if you stand on them, I bet it stops instantly, especially after all that regen. Those two added together are, you know, a combination for being able to shut it down in a hurry. So that's probably better than the braking on a Tesla Plaid. But if we were ranking them, you know, as far as fun goes, it's 100% Ioniq 5, then probably the Plaid, then probably the Model 3 Performance, then maybe the Model X Plaid, then maybe this. I know, I said that I loved it, but with all the problems that it's had just today, maybe the YouTubers weren't lying to you. Maybe it's a very rough product that they weren't ready to release yet. But in the future, and with the software updates, this thing could be incredible. It's finished well, and I haven't had any drivetrain issues, just issues with all the convenience features, so it's kind of fun. Also, you can do this. If anyone passes you, it will unpass them. So I got in the car with my girlfriend, she jumped in, and I turned it on, and it played the startup sound, and she said, "It's like Universal Studios." And I was like, it is! That's what I said. Listen to this again. I want you guys to hear this all by itself. Here's the power shot. And you have to punch the throttle. And then you can push it at any time and just cancel the sound effect. So we've canceled the power shot. Let's see what happens to the ADAS when it disengages. We do need to know, is it gonna pull over? Is it gonna call the police for us? I know it's like really hard to see the screen right now, but I haven't touched the wheel, just kind of watching it. And I haven't touched it in quite a while. So you can see now it's flashing this yellow bar. It's saying, please place hands on wheel. We haven't got into any braking stabs. Oh, there we go. Good job. And that is the car all the YouTubers lied to you about, or did they? either way, it can be a lot of fun. Honestly, I know Auto Auction Rebuilds wants to love his too, and he wants it to be the Grand Touring car that it truly is, and it's also a lot of fun when you punch it. So, Dodge, if you're watching this, I would very much love to do a track day in this car, so get in touch with me. Anyway, huge thank you to Eddie's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram for letting me take this one out for the day. It's for sale on the website, and also they have an RT left as well, and you know the lease deals on the RT are crazy. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I'll talk to you next time. Also, the AC has worked the whole rest of the day, and the phone charger came back, so I think they do need to do the software update on this thing, and it should be ready to rock. I'm gonna park it right, don't worry.